All right, we're recording. Welcome, lads. Thanks for joining me. I feel like I'm trying to look around at you, Craig.
Yeah, well.
So what I normally do is when I get people on the podcast is I get them to introduce themselves and tell me a little about you. So I'm going to start with Steve. No pressure.
My name's Steve Coster. I'm a Krav Maga instructor. I've got a martial arts gym up in Costa Deca up here. We also run fitness holidays, fitness boot camp on the beach for people who live in Tenerife. I've been in Tenerife almost 30 years now.
Wow.
Done a few different jobs, but now I've been doing this now for sort of 10 years. I love my job. I love my work. Working with people every day, teaching people, I believe, genuine life skills to help them. And we meet a lot of interesting people, a lot of different types of people as well.
You met me, didn't you? And I'll bring over to Craig now. Tell us a little bit and we'll move on from there. Tell us a little about yourself. I feel like I'm creeping around the corner here.
Well, like Steve, I've been here, 32 years now, actually, 93 since I came.
Yeah.
I work in investments now, making money for people, been through tourism, sold sun cream on the island, done a lot of different things. And I know you guys through Steve's boot camp. So, out on the beaches, been doing that for 12 years. So, keeps the mind and the body, fairly active and in good shape.
Yeah, and that's an understatement with you, Craig, to be in a good shape. You know what I mean? So, just explain to anyone who's watching, I met Craig first through Sahar was working for Suncare. What's the Suncare Centre?
Suncare Central, yeah.
And then you said for me to come along to do the boot camp with Steve, and at the time
I'm sorry, was it me who got into that?
introduced me to Steve, and I did the boot camp, and I was doing MMA at the time, and for me it wasn't too bad. But then as I stopped keeping my fitness up, when you go down there, it's proper hard work. Like the beach is hard going.
He's mean. He's mean.
So and Craig is super fit. Like when I went down there, he just sickened me. Like watching him, he's just one of those people that has natural fitness. Like
That's very true. Yeah,
wreck your head. Like
there's a lot of people. Even I see people train. Some people really train hard, and there's other people, like you say, have got a genuine natural level of fitness.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Craig trains a lot, but it's different. I see he can push every single class. I've never ever seen him say, "Oh, I can't be bothered today," or "I can't be." It's just there's an extreme level of fitness there, and there's a never ever give up attitude.
And it's a rare, like anytime I've been down there, and it hasn't been for a while, because I'm kind of focused on boxing and stuff. But when I used to go there, I don't think I ever came across anyone that had the same level of fitness, even at a younger age. No. Maybe a little bit quicker in the runs, but overall, by the end of it, Craig would always hold himself above anyone else.
No, as a general rule, yeah. I mean, we've actually had Olympians. We've had people, not UK ones, but we've had people from the German Olympic team.
Yeah,
and they are fit. They're extremely fit. But even them, we've had professional fighters. We have a lot of guys. We do a summer camp where guys come from all over the world that train Krav Maga. These guys are fit. They're strong.
Yeah.
A lot of them are police. They're bodyguards, and they're very tough. And they've got an extreme level of fitness, but they burn out a lot quicker than him. I've watched it. Yeah, I've watched it a few times. Yeah.
If this is an advert to get people
this
to
is
come
Craig.
over,
Go, Craig.
Come and be. I'll be taking a few months
off. Get the pom-poms out.
Can I just say something on that point though? And this is what you mentioned a bit. I grew up and I did stuff. I did judo, karate, but I was never at any level ever. And I think it was just later life that I thought I just want to push myself always.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm born in with it. I don't think I'm any fitter than other people or special. I just don't quit. I don't give up, and I just want to keep pushing and pushing. Sometimes you end up getting injured or whatever, but I think it's all up here, honestly. And I same as anyone says in any life who's successful, anyone can do it. And I believe that. So when I do look at others who are pushing, I have respect massively.
Yeah.
Then you see the lazy ones are there, and I think, okay, and you think, well, you know what? As long as you're getting what you want out of it, fair enough. But if they trying to get fit, but then they're like, you can see them quit and give up well before they could. Then I just think, come on, you know, because I think that's a story for life, no?
Yeah, completely.
In every way,
it is a state of mind. And I would agree with that, because you get some people come over, and like you say, even the ones that are not necessarily of the top fitness level, but they try. And the thing is, as long as they try, if they come in and they push themselves, It doesn't matter, even if they can do 3 press-ups, for example, but they've tried to do the 3 press-ups and they're knackered after it. It's the attitude. It's the attitude changes everything.
Same for me in business. Like, so one of the things that I always think about in business is like, and in anything in sales, attitude is hard to fix, and attitude is the key. If you want to achieve anything in life, then you really need to push forward and have a great attitude. It's even at the moment, for the first time, I've got a personal trainer for weights, and I found myself going into the gym and I'd go and lift weights, and I'd lift heavy and I'd do, but I'd never push myself. Like it'd get sore and then I kind of, I put the weight down. But this guy's like, 2 more, 1 more. 1 more, 1 more, and you're literally like your arms are shaking. You know,
it proves you can do it.
Yeah,
you can't. As you say, if you're talking, if you like after myself, go and training myself, and you push yourself a little bit, but it's very easy to find an excuse.
Oh yeah.
I used to train this big guy, Eastern European guy, real absolute gentleman, but he always said his father had told him never barter with yourself or never try and deal with yourself, because you will always win either way. So if you in your head, if you, that's enough for today, I'm knackered, then that's it. You'll stop. Whereas if somebody else is in charge of that, and say, like you say, 2 more, and you can always do it.
Yeah.
You can always do it if somebody pushes you a little bit more. And sometimes it's hard to get that mentality for yourself to force yourself to. I find even me, I'm getting older now. I prefer to train as part of a group in the Krav Maga class every day now, because I know I will push myself harder when I'm part of a group.
Yeah.
There's a lot of younger ones there. Power, bigger, stronger, and there is no hiding from them. You know what I mean? You've got to go and you've got to fight them, and you've got to push it every single time.
Yeah, and that is the fighting is like one thing I've realised from doing sparring and MMA and boxing and all that. It's like sometimes you're just in a position where it's either fight or flight, or you've just got to push through that kind of moment where it's like you feel like giving up. Someone's hitting you in the head, or you're being pounded on the ground in a cage, and you're like, well, what do I do here? I need to just get up or push the way through. And it's a big teacher in life, I think. I think fighting's a massive teacher in life.
To me, I think
or even training.
I would think it's a major part of my life. I've done it since I was a kid. I've done it since I was 4 years old, started doing judo. And it gives you a different type of mentality. But I would say, like Craig said about when you get older. Yeah. When I was younger, all my life I've fought competitions for judo, fought competitions for kickboxing, Muay Thai, but at the same time I was never sort of top level. I was average, you know what I mean? But as you get a bit older, my mentality's changed, and now I'm more aware of my own fitness and my own. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's to do with having kids as well. I don't know. That's more in the back of your head. Yeah, you've got to keep your health. You've got to, and you're hearing about every day. Somebody's had a heart attack. Somebody's had a stroke. I think, right, it won't be me. So I push myself, even, like you say, you get up in the morning, I'm sore every day when I wake up. Every single part, there's a different pain every day. And you get out of bed and it takes you sort of 5 minutes to start moving.
What's that?
What's normally, like a normal person. But I won't give up. Same thing. Like you say, I'll never stop.
It's that not giving up attitude, isn't it? Yeah. And I think for me, it's important for everyone to know, because again, you guys just said about the beach and fitness, and I push myself hard, but then I get people coming, oh God, you must find this really easy. No, never, ever, never. That's the thing. It's never easy because you push all the time. Yeah. But I think what people who maybe are going into the fitness thing, maybe they turn up at the beach, maybe at the gym doing stuff, but they're not as fit as the guy over there or this over there. Everyone's going through the same. Whether you're super fit, middle fit, you're just starting out, it's hell. It's hard. It is. And you're all in the same boat. So when we're on that beach and we're all doing it together, we're all in the same boat. It's like you were saying with your personal trainer. Don't you hate people who lie to you? 2 more. Hold on, you said 2 more. Now another one. It's like I'll bench press you in.
I'm looking at him going. You said 1 more. You said 1 more 3 more ago.
Hold on a minute. I'm good at maths. But it's that thing of remembering that. I mean, the personal trainers who are super fit and they go through the hell, same as us, because there isn't no getting out of it. But if you remember, especially in group training, you're all in it together. You're all feeling the same. You're all hating the instructor at that moment. Sorry, Steve, but we do it now and again.
So he says 10 more burpees.
It's very true. I think you're right. A lot of people are not aware of that. They think when somebody's got a decent level of fitness, they imagine what they're doing. That's easy for them. It's not. That's dead right. It's not. It's never easy for anybody, because even if they've got a really good level of fitness, they are pushing themselves hard. When they're doing the burpees, maybe the difference is the quality of the exercise they're doing. They're doing that exercise.
Or even the speed.
Or the speed. And the less recovery time and things like that. And that's what makes it difficult.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's just,
The only thing I would say, right, and it's not arguing that fact, it's like when you get past a certain point, it does become, what for want of a better way of saying it, is like you go past this, like, because when I started, like, it was about, I let myself go like really bad, putting a lot of weight. I was about 130 kilo. I was living in Abadas at the time, and I started back training with a guy called Lee, who's training me again now, boxing. And it was like going from this, like 130, I'm 125 now, but I was 130 kilo of like no muscle. It was like jiggle, right? So it was
jiggle.
So I was like,
picture of you going down to a jiggling beach,
but it was like, it felt like, you know, a mountain ahead of me. And there is a point where you have to just push through the first, say, month or two to kind of get where it feels like you're not dying every time you train. It's like, even for me now, when I get, like, I've got back into boxing in the last few months, the first couple of sessions or first week, it was like, where is all my fitness gone? Like, I felt like I was dying in the ring, like doing, you know, basic punching, like. And now I find, like, even to the point where now we're doing light sparring, and I'm thinking in the first 2 minutes. So at the first 2 minutes before, I was like, there's another 3 minutes. But now it's like, okay, so he's moving his hand this way. I need to do this. He's doing this. And I'm thinking more. So there is a point where you start to kind of, at the start, it feels like you're at the base of Everest and you're never going to get there. But the important thing is, like, you've got to kind of just break it down. If you are starting out on that journey, I think, to break it down.
All right, like, everyone listening, we admit it, it's crap at the beginning, it's hell. What we said is just for motivation.
No, but what I mean is, it's like anything in life. It's like when I say to people in recovery and in a meeting, and I go, they come to me and they say, oh, how am I going to stop taking drugs for the rest of my life? I said, just do it for today. Yeah. So it's like when you're going out training, just get through the hour. Just get through that hour, and it starts to get easier over time. But just try and break it down. And don't be thinking, looking at Craig, who's doing his ultimate 50, and thinking, geez, I'm never going to be able to do that. No, do you know what? I'll just get through the next hour, and there's another hour tomorrow, and I can deal with that tomorrow, and just kind of break it down to the smaller things, if that makes sense.
It's a very good point, and it is relevant. And what we talk about, I think we're right in one respect, but you're completely right. Because you get used to it. It's like anything in life, isn't it? It's like, you know, it's learning a new job. It's like learning at school, and but you've all got to get to that point to begin with to make it easier to some respect. But then it's down to how much you push. And I think, the respect.
There's no, you're right, and there's no easy way of starting. For people, like people that come over here that have got no fitness level, the first day is hell. And there's no easy way of doing it. There's no way.
And the next morning, waking up.
And the next day, probably the day after that. But it's stopped being hell probably by the 6th day, the end of the week when they're going home. It's getting normal.
I know Michaela, who does all the pickups for you now in the car, because I used to help you out a bit, and she does it all now. And I know in the car she'll be saying, "Oh, you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna love this." And you can see them looking at her on the beach, going, "You lied, you lied."
It is, but you've got.
But they do love it.
And it is again also the one step at a time thing. I trained in Israel a few years ago, and it was brutal. It was horrific. It's 47 degrees at 6 o'clock in the morning. So you're getting out of your bed at 5. You're having.
I'm interested. Give us the day in Israel. I'm interested to hear that actually.
So you wake up at 5 o'clock. You go and have some food. Obviously, get rest. Go and have some food, and it's blistering hot at that time in the morning. 47 degrees when we were there. You go out, and the first thing everybody's got a Camelback. You put that on. You obviously fill it with ice. You have got to. They're so strict on that. You have got to fill your pack 3-4 times. When they tell you go and fill it, you fill it with ice and you fill it with water, because that kind of heat is brutal. So that's the first thing. And then you start. We were there for tactical shooting. So you'll go. You might start off on the first thing is you sit in a classroom, and there's no air going in the class. You sit in the classroom, but it's 47 degrees in the classroom. And you've got your own little desk, and everybody's got you've got your own gun. You're given a Glock to start off with. And the first thing is you have to strip the gun down, and then you have to rebuild it, and you strip it down, and you rebuild it, and you do this for hours. I mean, you're sitting there from 6 o'clock in the morning until lunchtime, 12 o'clock, and this is the first day, and you've got to strip the gun down in 10 seconds and rebuild it in 10 seconds. If anybody's done any type of gun training, metal, when you're cocking it continues, it just lacerates your hands. So your hands are cut. By the second or third day, every single person's got tape on every single part of every finger. So then you got to do static shooting. So you're on a range, will start off at 20 metres, for example, and it's static shooting targets. And then as it goes on, it's more tactical shooting, so it's the killing house and things like that. So it's excellent. But same thing, it was so hard and so difficult. And I'm saying to the instructor, I said, I don't know if I can handle this, because it was so difficult. And at one point, you were on a beach, and there was like a hill thing on the side of the beach, and it was a real steep slope, and it's thick sand. So you've got a rifle by this time, and you're trying to run up, and you're fully dressed in tactical gear. So you're not beach gear.
Not with the flip flops.
Combat speedos.
You got a pair of speedos and a rifle. Running up. I just imagine Steve running up the hill with a pair of speedos and a rifle. Come on, lads!
Pink budgie smuggler. So you're running up the hill, and you almost get to the thing I've made, and they'll hit you with these big, massive bag things, and they hit you, and you roll all the way back down again.
Wow.
And you've got to get up and you start again, and the same thing. You're right at the top, and you think I've done it, and they'll fucking hit. Sorry, and they'll hit you again.
I can curse.
And it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And I said to the guy, I says, you start looking at him, you can't breathe. It's stifling hot, and you're dizzy. You're dizzy all the time. And he actually went, you're thinking of the big whole pit. I was thinking in my head, how am I going to manage this? How am I going to get till the end of the day? Yeah. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get to the end of the week of this? He says, forget that. You're looking at the big picture. He says, just think the next step. He says,
just get me to the top of that hill.
One more step. Get up, take one more step, and that's it. And then when you're, like you said, then eventually your mentality change and you stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Eventually, when your body's gone through it so much and that you stop thinking. And that's the best time. The minute you stop thinking, your body just does it. And you're capable. Wow. You're much more capable than what you think.
Yeah.
So when you're watching someone complain about a burpee, you say, "You come to Israel. I'll show you what a real."
You know what? Though, listening to Steve, it's making me want to go online and book a cruise.
And like switching that, like that's some serious shit right there. Craig, so we're talking about like two things that you've done. Like, so you did the Ultimate 50 and you did the Ultimate 55. Like, and when we're talking about fitness, like I watched you, I've seen you train for both and seen you do both, and I looked and went, nah, there's no way I'm doing that, because it's just full on. Like, and like, let's go to the Ultimate 50. What was it exactly? If you explain what it was, and
yeah,
like,
of course.
Yeah,
you'll get there, by the way, because that's when you.
I'll get to 50. I'll get to 50, but I ain't doing no Ultimate 50.
Go for a nice meal.
I think I'll go for a meal, nice cake, bit of tomahawk steak. Sounds good. Yeah.
To be honest, looking back, and if you can go back and tell yourself something, if you can go back in time, and say, don't do that. Just have a nice, relaxing 50th. I mean, it's 5.5 years ago since I was 50.
That means he's 55 by the way.
Yeah, I'm 55. I'm coming up 56. But yeah, and to be honest, it's because of Steve. It was doing the boot camps. I've been doing them at that time for 12 years, so about 7 years, I think. And I just had this thought, when it comes to my 50th, I'm not a big drinker. I'll have a little drink. I've been in Marbella this week and I've had a few, and I can still feel it. But I'm not a drinker. I've never been into that. And I thought, I just want to remember it for something different. And with Steve and his motivation around it, I'm doing the boot camps all the time. But also, like yourselves, it's nice to do stuff to give back a little bit for charities and things. And the idea kind of came from there. So 6 months before, I thought, what can I do? So I called it, as you said, the Ultimate 50. I got 50 different exercises, pretty much what we do on the beach, and then found alternatives to make it. So you've got lots of different types of burpees, lots of different types of press-ups, stomach exercises, jumps, squats, everything you can think of. And if you take 50 exercises and do 50 of each, that's 2,500 reps.
Yeah.
And then just to add some flavour into it, because I don't like running, I decided to also run 50 kilometres.
And 10 between each one, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was basically 500 exercises, which is about an hour, give or take, and then go for a 10K run. Back again, 500, 10K run, 500, 10K run, so on and so forth. And it ended up being, that one was 11 hours and 40 minutes in total.
Yeah.
But again, the great thing is, and I remember it, to be honest, there's certain things in your life you'll remember as the best days of your life, and that for me was one of those best days. I have two, luckily now.
Best and worst, I reckon, no?
Best and worst through some of it, and I went to a place I've never been, but there's a point I'd like to bring up on that about when we talk about fitness in a minute, but it was just, it was incredible, but the things I remember about it is the support, the way people came around to help me to get there on the day, and how people came forward to say, listen, what you're doing is a great cause, and we're going to help to give for the charities. And we did it for various charities. And my strap line, which I've got the tattoos on me from both events, is through hell to help others. And
you didn't go for a small tattoo either.
No, I made sure you could see it.
You can see it from space. I won't ask you to take your t-shirt off.
I'm glad about that. It's getting warm in here with these lights.
It is hot, yeah.
Yeah, I won't do that. So, and then obviously later, I actually, at the end of that, and I'll come back to that point I said I would, but at the end of that I said, I'll never do that again, because my body went into shock that night, and I remember it so well. I went to a place in my head I'd never been, and I thought, I'm glad I experienced it, and that's the point I want to make. I think somebody at some time in their life should push themselves, as Steve mentioned, you are capable of more than you think, and go to that place. It's a weird place, it's a scary place.
But can it, just to go back, just to wind back to that, because I'm interested here, because I've been to some weird places myself.
I didn't see all colours and rainbows. So.
No, but I'm just interested to see when you say that place. Can you describe exactly? Are you okay? You don't have to, but are you okay to describe exactly what that feeling was like?
Yeah, I'll try. Well, during the event, for one, is obviously as you're going through you train hard as you do for anything.
Yeah.
And as the hours pass and you're running hard and your body starts to go into overload, it's producing all the hormones and things.
Type of shock.
And towards the end, and you're feeling all things going on. But you know what? Adrenaline, support, motivation around, everything keeps you going. And then it stops. And then it ends. And I suppose it's like doing anything. If you do something that's really good, like you go on a holiday for 2 weeks, you come off, and there's a downside to it. There's other things that you come down off in life. And I suppose it would be, in a way, coming down off drugs, because your body's filling you with, obviously...
or like artists when they go on stage and play to huge crowds. You wonder why they do drugs afterwards. I can imagine the come down after that.
And that come down was weird when I came, but then that evening, my body... and I was still, adrenaline was still, and that's what I believe. I'm no expert on it. I've got a fair understanding now, but it's adrenaline kept going, and you've got nowhere for it to go. So, and I went in my mind, it sent me into a strange place, which was so hard to describe, but absolute agony, like a flew through my body of pain, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with myself, and I couldn't sleep. it was a lonely place to be as well, because I'd been in a place with lots of people all for these 12 hours doing the training through, and then all of a sudden it's like, and it scared me a little bit, if I'm honest, because I thought, Christ, am I having a heart attack? Am I going to die in here? And it went through. It took about 5 hours and it passed.
5 hours?
Oh yeah, it was.
What?
Hell. It was
what?
not
In
my
the
favourite
night? Was it night?
Through the night. Actually.
And you couldn't sleep or nothing?
Well, we got home that night. Ellie, my wife, supporting me all the way. We got home. I felt great, and I actually felt, you know what? That was brilliant. Not easy.
Just gonna go for another run.
Then I thought, you know what? I feel good. Have a bit to eat and watch a bit of TV. I did a video to say thanks everybody for the support.
I remember that video.
And I fell to sleep. Fine.
Yeah.
About 2-3 hours later, I woke up, and that's when I woke up in this place that
what was it, like pain all over your body or what?
Yeah, it was pain in my body, and I just didn't know what to do. It was
fear and panic.
It was like anxiety, like a flu passing through my body, and I was shakes, and it's all the build-up of adrenaline that I've been told, and it's the strangest thing ever. But inside of all that, it told me you've pushed yourself to your limit and beyond.
Yeah. 100%.
And you're suffering it now, but there was a euphoria that came after it.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow. When I started to feel better again, which was early hours of the morning, I was like, this is it. And I just thought, you know what? If you've never gone through that, go through it, because it's euphoric in the end. It really was. It was,
That's mad. So then fast forward, you said, I've suffered enough, I'll do it again.
Never do it again. yeah.
So you
I'm
decided,
not very intelligent,
ultimate 55. I'm interested to see what 60 is. Well, let's see what 55. What was 55?
It was, I just, you know what? It was, again, the euphoria that carries it. It's like if you play a game, I know if you play golf or you have a game of football or you do something where you remember the good bits.
Yeah.
And it's like when you do your fights, you get walloped, you're getting, but you remember when you got that guy and all the good bits. And it is that, and then boxers and people like that must suffer it. You know, even if they win, they got battered, but they remember the good bits.
I think the fight for boxers is a good bit, from what I understand, you know. And I enjoy the sparring. It's all the because
the hard. You
train hard and you can spar.
Training, like sometimes you see. I ask new clients when they come off the beach, "Did you enjoy that?" And they sort of look at you, and I say, "No, you fucking idiot! No, I didn't enjoy it." But you enjoy afterwards when it's finished. You think, "Oh, that was quite good." But at the time, you think, "Oh, this is absolute. Why did I put myself through this? This is not enjoyable."
But for me, when I'm sparring and I feel really fit, right? I love it because okay, you get some shots and you think, "Whoa, that hurt," but there's that feeling of, I'm able to go this whole I'm not gassing in this round, and I'm thinking and I'm enjoying it. It's like a game of chess. But when you're unfit and you're trying to spar, it's horrible. But the whole thing around that sparring is you have to get yourself to a level of fitness that you can relax in a sparring.
I've been fighting with guys on the floor. I was over Christmas, I was really ill. I had bronchitis for 3-4 weeks, and the first day when I came back training, I left it a couple of days, done a day or two of training, basic stuff. And then on the third day, I thought, I'll have a little bit of ground fighting with Mark. Mark was 125 kilos and Paul. And I panicked because I was fighting it and I had no breath. I had no stamina. There was no breath. I just couldn't catch, when you can't catch your breath.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm in trouble here. And these are big, powerful guys, and there's no play. And you're in that fight situation. There's nothing you can do. You can't. It's horrible. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because you're when you're in a really good shape, and you feel strong and you feel fit, it's enjoyable. It's like a game.
You've not got the fear of it, and you're just play.
But when you're just trying to get through the last or even the whole round, it's no fun at all.
Just want to survive this 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Yeah.
And it's all that training around it. It's like that's the tiring part. And I don't train as hard as I used to, but when I were doing the MMA with Keith, it was probably the hardest training I'd ever done. And it was I'd never been that fit in my life. I could run serious distance. I could run altitude. We were doing training in the mountains, and it was just grueling. But when you sparred, it all came together. It was even maybe you were sparring someone that was better than you, but even that you were way calmer. You're way better at kind of gauging everything. But when you start out and you're unfit, it's it is that. And I guess part of what you're doing is a lot of training coming up to it, which is the hard work. But even with yours, even the thing is hard.
That's the thing about it, and and I have so much respect, massive respect, and I'm not even anywhere near the level of these professionals or anything.
I don't know, man. I tell you, there's a lot of professionals that wouldn't be able to do what you did. And that's what I mean, boosting you up, you know what I mean?
Age as well. You look at a lot of people.
For an old git, yeah.
No, but people hit their 50s. You look at some people and you think, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I've seen some of my mates at my age and I'm thinking, Jesus.
Exactly,
What do you mean your age? You're nearly my age.
10 years, bro, 10 years.
10 years, yeah, I'll always have that. Will it ever close that gap? I don't think it will.
No.
For good, yeah, hopefully not.
You'll still probably be fitter than me even when you're 65,
I think that's the mental side of it. I think you do the event, and like we say, I afterwards I went, never again, because it was that. And it was 6, even though I'm training all the time with Steve down at the beach, so I'm in a good fitness level, it was 6 months of very hard, intense training to get there. And that's the hard bit. And like I was going to say, I have so much respect for these professionals because it's the training, it's the bit behind the scenes, it's the bit that people don't see is the hard bit. That's where you go through mental issues, as in, loneliness, not believing in yourself, negativity. And I went through all of that over those 6 months, and that was why I'd never do it again. And then I got to almost 55, and I went, okay.
Do it again.
Then I came up with
this one was longer. It was 17 hours, wasn't it? Or
this was 30, just under 13 hours.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was 17. I had that in my head.
Yeah, similar thing called the Extreme 55 this time. I needed a new name for it. And this time, last time we
60. Broken 60. Super 60, there you go.
Yeah, anything we say live today, we can just forget, in case I commit to stuff. It was just that's it, and just get out there and do it again. So instead of doing I didn't want to do exactly the same, 55 times 55 would have been 3,025 or something. I thought, you know what, we might as well make it 5,555 exercises this time. Not quite as much running, but still 27.5 kilometres in between. But it was a lot more on the exercise side, so my body took actually more of a battering this time.
Yeah.
And 13 hours just under non-stop. But again, the support, the money we raised, I wanted to raise €5,555 for the charities, which are the local kids here, happy to help, the cancer as well here, Helping Hands.
Both great organisations, by the way.
They were fantastic, yeah, they're brilliant. And I just thought if we raised that, and we raised over 10,000, and that was thanks to you guys, for plus a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
And everyone just came together. It was like community, and I was, I suppose, just the catalyst in it, if you like. Just, I'll do something and sponsor me. I'll go through some hell while everyone's sat drinking around me on the day. But that's okay. But,
Did you have the same shock that you had in
Not as much, funnily enough. I had it again, but to a lesser degree, because I think I expected this time. I knew I got my food intake, which is minimal on the day, because you can't when you're doing burpees, extra burpees
There'd be
when somebody
pukies.
tells you to. But I got my food probably a bit better, and my hydration was very good. So I did have a come down again and blah, 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 but I kind of expected it this time, so I don't think it was as bad.
The closest thing I had to anything, that was nothing like that, by the way, was I did Dublin City Marathon, and the training for that was did about 7 months of training, and I was doing about between 80 and 90 kilometres a week.
That's impressive.
And I used to get up at, I used to do shorter runs during the week. Like, it was varied. It was a whole program that I'd set out.
Yeah.
And on the Saturday nights was my long run, and I mean Saturday night, Sunday morning. So I'd get up at 4. I lived in Abadis at the time, which is about 35-minute drive from
That's
here.
lucky time for it.
Yeah. But it was
few eggs.
I had no choice, because I couldn't run around Abadis because it was all hills and bad roads and stuff.
Yeah.
So the most logical thing was to run along the seafront here for the long run.
Yeah.
So I'd get up at that early, and I'd be, because the sun wasn't up, and I would run from Los Cristianos, where the Palmar, the cliffs are, to La Caleta, back, and then back to Portocolon and back, and it was 35 kilometres.
That's quite. I was going to say that's a long distance. That is.
And and I'd have water stashed in different points. Right. And there was a bar, fair play to them actually, the Galway Girl, thanks very much, big shout out to the Galway Girl, used to leave water hidden for me. I paid them up in advance, and they put the water out. And I was saying, I raised for Sligo Cancer Care, which really helped my mother when she was sick. And just the whole process of training was horrific. There was moments the long runs, and I understand where you go into a place where I'm thinking to myself, did I run this already? Or my head's gone into a place where I'm no longer. I feel like I'm hallucinating. I'm doing this, and I'm going, what's going on here exactly? And I'm like, okay, I just keep running. And sometimes I'm just doubting myself, and I just think, my mother has been through hell with chemo. I said, I'm just going to keep pushing through this. There's nothing compared to that. And I was just thinking of and then you'd see. The funny thing was about all that was at the end of the long run. So I'd be coming back to Los Cristianos. It'd be around 8. I think roughly around, let's say it's 5. Yeah, so it'd be nearly 3.5, 4 hours, right? So it'd be around 8:30, and then you've got all the morning joggers coming out, and at that point,
not only them.
and I've done about 28 kilometers, and I'm broken, so I'm like. So I look like this guy who's
running away from Veronica's.
Actually, when I'd start the run, I'd run through Veronica's, and it would still be partying. I'd have my headphones on, and I'd be doing me running, and people would be looking at me going, I'd be that stout around. But the funny thing was, people are looking at me at 8, thinking this guy is so unfit, I was just ready to die after doing these long runs. But I think that anything that's extreme like that, and I have mates that run ultra marathons. I have a friend of mine, and a guy I've had on a podcast that we used to do before, that's rode from La Gomera to America. He holds the record.
When you say road, it's road, not road.
No, no.
Because that'd be hard.
No, but road unassisted. On his own.
Madness.
He has the record, and it's 49 days unassisted. He rode from there. Amazing guy.
Middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
On your own?
On his own.
That's the bit.
Completely on his
I know
own.
Recently, people have just finished the one where they ride 2 in a boat.
Yeah.
Doing it on your own is just
Yeah.
And he came from a very, very, like he's open about it because he's spoken on my podcast. He was a heroin addict. So he went from heroin addiction to now he's like this ultra marathon guy. He does drag sleds in the North Pole and all sorts of crazy stuff.
As
like,
you do.
Yeah, just, but like,
wow.
One of the things he said to me, like said to us on that podcast, was that the reason why he broke that record was because when everyone else, when it was dark, like it was really dark, and he was on his own, and the waves were coming, a lot of people would just brace. He was catching the waves, so he was like, "They'll speed me up." So he was just rolling with the waves, and he was getting more speed up, like he was surfing them, like. And he said that helped him, but like he said, there was moments where there was just nothing, and it was like a mad experience, and it's. Like on a minor point, I was doing marathons, but I think everyone who trains hard or goes into that place, there's a point where you doubt yourself, and you just got to find a place that you just got to push through it. Like
what I was, for example, what I was doing, if I doubted myself and gave up, I stepped to the side, sit on the pavement, and drink some water.
Yeah.
He's in the middle of the Atlantic.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
You can't.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Oh, you know what? I won't bother anymore.
Ghostbusters.
I'll just give up now. I'll just let myself float away.
For me, that's a different level.
That's a different
Immense.
level.
It's crazy stuff, isn't it?
You know, it's
Mad guy, like. You get it's just like we had him on.
Respect for him as well, being mad, but wow,
It's mad stuff.
Incredible.
So speaking about mad stuff, like obviously, to go back to you, Steve, your journey, because I know like we obviously have regular chats that might be a bit more cheeky than this when we're around having breakfast in the mornings. And one of the things I know with you is like that you have been to Thailand, your journey to here, like how did you end up here? And obviously you've done Thai boxing in Thailand, and you know.
I came here originally, that's almost 30 years ago now, and I came because my cousin was here. My cousin was working over here. I was at university at the time, and I thought during the summer I'll come away for the summer. I flew over here, and Tenerife 30 years ago was a very different place. A young lad came out, and the lifestyle that I met, the people that were living here at the time, the expats, it was mental. It was absolutely mental, and I just thought, this is fantastic. Met a few really cool people that worked here at the time, and you know, it's like you're 18, 19, I was out, you're out partying every time. I'd never seen anything like it. It was absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, in the end I was going to stay. They offered me a job. And to be fair, there was just one guy in particular, and he said to me, I wasn't going to go back to university. I wasn't going to go back and I was supposed to go and finish my honours degree. And he says, no, he said 100%, he said, get on that flight, go back, finish your degree, he said, then come back. He says, Tenerife will still be here in a year's time.
Yeah.
And to be fair, now I'll never forget this guy, a guy called Neil, a real absolute gentleman. And he basically sent me away, put me back on the plane, came back and then finished my degree, and I came back here a year later. Got a job. I originally got a job in timeshare, which at the time, to be fair, I thought was a fantastic job. The lifestyle was excellent. We were selling a different type of thing there. It was basically just 3 holidays, and it was a good product. It actually was a good product. The people that came over loved it. They loved it because it was the best. The quality of the accommodation was better than what anybody else was staying in. But unfortunately, the business over the years then changed and became a very, very very dirty business now, a real nasty business. So anyway, eventually I came out of that. I thought, I've had enough, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And one day I was with a girlfriend at the time, and we split up, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to go. I was on my head since I was a kid. I watched Kickboxer all the time with Van Damme when I was a kid. And I always said one day I will go and train in Thailand. I'd always thought it my whole life. And when I split up with that girlfriend, I thought, right, and I jumped on a flight. To Bangkok. I landed in Bangkok 30 years, 20, that'll be 25 years ago, something like that. It's a dump. It's an absolute bog. And I got there and I just thought, this is not how I pictured Thailand at all. It's really not the image. I had the kickboxer image, you know, Van Damme training with a little man in the jungle, kicking bamboo trees and things like that. That was the image I had in my head, and I thought, nah, this. So anyway, jumped on a little flight down to Phuket, which is an island in the south of Thailand. And beautiful. Phuket is the south, the islands of Thailand are absolutely spectacular. Anyway, so I landed there by chance. So I got myself an apartment, and I walked into this building. I thought, well, I'm going to have to try and get a job. I'm going to stay. I was planning on staying for 6 months or something. And I thought, I'll go and see if I can get a little job. And I knew there was a hotel there that I knew it was based on a holiday resort. And I thought, I'm going to go and ask for a job. And I walked in to I says, where's your sales department? It's up there on the 5th floor. So I went up, and the woman who was in charge of the sales team had been one of my old managers here years before. Wow. And I walked in, a Scottish woman, and I just went, no way. And started that, and I was working when I was there, and went to learn Muay Thai. But at that time, it was it's their national sport, and in their days it was not so commercialised as what it is now. Now all top UFC fighters will go and train in Thailand.
Yeah, it's a big business there now.
Muay Thai is a huge business, but it was not like that 25 years ago. It was very different. And I went around a few places, they're not even gyms, they're basically, it's a clean in the jungle with a corrugated iron roof and a homemade boxing ring. Some of them got rings made out of vines and things like that.
Wow.
It's literally like that. It's got a carpet on the floor, and a lot of them wouldn't train me because I was a Falang. They said, no, we don't train Farangs, it's a national sport. They were really defensive about it.
Right.
And eventually I found this little place, like a little back street place, very basic. And I walked in and he says, yeah, I said, I'll train you. So I paid him 1,000 baht, which in their days was about 14 pounds, something like that. And that was for a month of personal training with this guy, yeah. So I paid him 1,000.
All personal trainers out there, are you listening?
Definitely a lot more than what I'd be paying now for personal training.
I was like, the result, you know what I mean?
Are you sure, mate?
So paid me money, and he says, you start tomorrow. And I went away, came back the next day, and the guy was gone, disappeared with 1,000 baht. Because the thing is, Thai.
So it wasn't a great deal in the end.
It was a terrible deal. The guy's done a run of my money.
All personal trainers, are you listening?
The Thais are all Buddhist, or majority Buddhist, and they don't steal. They really don't.
Okay.
And basically, I don't think there was any malice. Yeah, they really don't believe in that. I don't know if there was any.
Maybe he just disappeared.
He got 1,000 baht, and I think he went on it.
Just a word you used.
He went partying.
You said Falang.
Falang means foreigner.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's what they call you, a Farang.
Right.
Falang.
Okay.
Depends on how they pronounce Falang. So yeah, anyway, and I think he just went on it. I think he had 1,000 baht, which is a lot of money, and he just went. That was it. No sign of him. So anyway, the other guys that were involved in the gym were so. We're very sorry. And I said, right, can I just come and train them on? You know, can I use the bags and use the ring a little bit?
Did you know
No.
martial arts at that stage?
Oh yeah, no, I'd been doing, I'd done judo for years, but I'd done European style kickboxing.
Okay.
You know, the sort of point, that kind of stuff, long guard. I'd done a bit of that, but not
Just point scoring.
Yeah, point scoring, sort of semi-contact kind of thing.
Did that when I was younger. It's good
It
fun.
was good. Yeah, and in the day it was really good.
But it's very different to it.
But I had this
1 point, separate.
in my head, I am going to learn Muay Thai boxing all my life. So anyway, and I was training a couple of weeks. I was just going in, punching the bag, and it was this old. I'm going to call him a JK. In Scotland, we call somebody a JK. This old guy used to lie outside the ring, and every day he would drink a bottle of Samsung whiskey, which is amphetamine-based whiskey, right? And he was drinking it right out of the bottle every day. While I'm training, he's drinking a bottle of this whiskey. And he would smoke 40, 50 fags, like, it burst. The guy was burst every day like that. And he just always watched me. He never really said much. So anyway, after about 2 weeks, he went, you want to learn Muay Thai? I said, yeah. He said, I teach you. And I says, I don't mean to be rude. I says, but have you ever done Muay Thai? And he went, yes, I do Muay Thai. And that was it. There was no. I went, right, okay. I said, don't mean to be rude. I said, but I've paid somebody already, and he's done a run of my money. He said, no. I said, I train you. I said, right. So I paid him 1,000 baht.
Hadn't learned his lesson yet.
Look at this flying. Let's just pull his pants down again. So yeah, I've went back the next day, and the guy was there as always, burst at the side of the ring like that. And I've never seen it. I mean, this guy was wasted every day, and he stood up like that. And as soon as he put the gloves on, and he was like that, wham, and it was like an instant straighten up, boom, instantly. Honestly, it was weird. And I started, and he just battered me. He absolutely leathered me, like within an inch of my life. And I'm just like, how the hell can somebody in that nick move like that? And so I said, you do Muay Thai? He said, yes, I do Muay Thai. That was it. His name was Doom. And anyway, it turned out his name was Doom. Yeah, all Thais, because they've got big massive names. Yeah. They have a 3-letter nickname. All
right.
Thais,
Okay.
Yeah, so they've all got like Doom or Nang or just the things like that. So I trained with Doom, and I trained one for about 3.5-4 years. And he was unbelievable. He was just, but after about I don't know, a month or 2 months. He says, right, he says, you fight the little boy. And there was kids lived in the camp. There was kids come from poor villages and they live in the camp. They literally, they've got a little box.
Is Muay Thai there kind of in some ways like boxing in some areas, like a path to making money and a path to freedom?
For a lot of them, there's no other option. There is no other option. They do Muay Thai. It's a horrible thing to say, but it's the reality. A lot of people in Thailand, they either go into Muay Thai, it gives them a chance of winning, or a lot of that's why there's so much prostitution. There is no other option. Basically, you work in a bar, so that is why it's because they are poor and they come from the villages have got nothing.
Yeah.
So anyway, he says so these kids live in the camp. They send their kids at 4 years old and things like that.
Wow.
And it's I'm thinking now of sending my kid away to live in a little box like that, but that's how it is. So anyway, he says, right, you fight the little boy. This little boy was 7 years old. Right? And I'm saying, I can't, I don't know.
Here, man, you want to stay off the sauce?
I was maybe 20 or something. He says, you fight little boy. And I'm saying, I says, I can't help. I says, he's a little boy. He says, you fight little boy. And anyway, so we've got to put the gloves on. And I'm thinking, I can't. And this little guy's well, whomp. Heel kick and he split me wide open. He kicked me right to the top of the eye there and it burst my eye wide open like that. And he went, Chanakifa hanga, which means crocodile sweeps its tail. That was my first Thai phrase. I thought, you little bastard. I mean, Joe, like that. Just burst me wide open. And he leathered me. This little 7-year-old kid absolutely leathered me. Because again, by 7 years old, some of them they've had 100 fights by the time they're 7 years old.
Wow.
You know, they're built, they're just ripped to death. So it was.
And it must be like when you I've never been to Thailand, but I'm guessing these lads are like hitting them is like hitting wood.
Oh no, they're solid. They're solid. Yeah, I mean they literally do it in a lot of the gyms. Again, I think it's more commercialised now. It was very different back that time. So they had things like their training was so basic. They would have bamboo tree stumps cemented in the ground, and they would stand and kick the bamboo with their shin,
just to get rid of the nerves.
They do it for an hour, and it splits the nerve down the side, and it's obviously it calcifies the bone. And these little kids are standing there and they're kicking it for an hour and there's nothing. There's no emotion in their face. Like, you kick bamboo one time your shin goes black. I was like, couldn't walk for a week. And these little kids are just, wow. So they've got that. They've got things like, they've got a bit of cement. They've cemented a rope into cement and they broke it. So it's a big heavy thing. And they put it in their mouth, their teeth, and they're lifting it like that
to strengthen the necks, for shots.
They've got things like they've got an oil drum cut in half. And it sits on effectively what's like a fire, like a barbecue kind of thing.
Yeah.
An oil drum's filled with hot sand. It's filled with sand, and they burn the sand. And you have to stand and you're punching down into the hot sand, and it's to shatter the knuckles here. And then you do press ups on concrete, and it calcifies these knuckles.
Wow.
So you've got no knuckles there, and these two are calcified. They're strong. And it was just. I was right up. I loved it.
It was like in a movie.
It was like a movie. It was like it was brilliant. I loved it. I mean now it's. You fucking idiot. I can't even close my hands. I can't even pick up a glass. I can't even put my thumbs on knack and everything's knack.
So the real question is, do you batter that young lad?
No, not really bad. Yeah, I've got a real few kicks. But it taught me the reality of fighting.
Yeah.
I think that was my first ever experience because I grew up with judo, judo's a great base, and then I went into kung fu. I loved kung fu just because it looks beautiful. European kickboxing, the first time you fought in Thailand, I thought, wow, that is the reality of fighting.
That's real fighting,
It's real fight. It's real, and it makes you realise there's a difference between things you maybe thought, never arrogant, but I thought, I've done a lot of fighting, I'm all right, and then you go and put you against a 7-year-old, and you get handed your totties, you know what I mean? You get battered.
And how long do you train in there then for?
I was there for 4.5 years.
Wow, in that gym?
In that gym, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And did you fight over there?
Yeah, I did a few, yeah. Not to any great level, and it was very different in the days. There was it was not commercialised to go into things like the big stadiums, but you fight local areas. You've got regions, so you have, for example, Phuket would fight against the other islands. So gyms from Phuket will fight against Koh Samui, for example. Then if the ones that were half decent, then you would move up to maybe Ao Nang or something like that, and they fight local areas, small. It was a great experience.
Wow. And how so you being like. I can't remember the exact phrase. A farang. How because obviously back now it's completely changed. I guess for back there when you were going in and fighting, were you like enemy number one?
Oh,
or
no, it was batter the white guy.
Everyone wanted you to get battered.
Like leather the white guy, and you used to even, I think even my own coach was.
And you hear people shouting?
He's probably betting, because they're all betting. They're betting on every fight, and he's probably betting against me. Go let him out. Let's
Scottish guys back.
Go 100 battle now, Scottish guy. Go let him out.
And did that coach that drank the whiskey and all? Was he in your corner?
He was my coach. For 4
and he was in the corner for the fights.
No, Doom was my. He was my trainer. I trained with that's the story with Doom. So he was my coach. And anyway, after so long, you get to know. Obviously, after 4 years, you get to know him really well. And you meet his family, and they take you up to the village. And the family, they're really poor, but they would kill a chicken. So because you go and visit his house, and they kill a chicken. And they strip the chicken, which is quite mental scene. And the women, they can do it super rapid, and they put a Coke bottle, so you've got the chicken like that, spread eagle, and they put a glass Coke bottle up its ring like that, and so the chicken's like that, or a Coke bottle.
I'd be looking surprised if I had a Coke bottle there. You know what I mean?
So they put like what do you call it, like a pot, like a clay garden pot kind of thing over the chicken, and they put straw around it, and they set fire to the straw, and the heat cooks the chicken. It's beautiful, right? A really beautiful way to cook a chicken if you've got time.
Shove a Coke bottle.
Time in a Coke bottle.
So yes, you got.
I'll go with Ellie tonight.
But anyway, so Dome, that's what I was saying to him. I says, and I never really asked him about it again. And after so many years, I went and bought a book, because there was a little paper shop, and every so often I'd go and try and find the closest thing to a British newspaper. And you'd read, there was a Phuket Gazette or something like that, and that was written in English. So then we'd go into this little shop, like a bookshop, and there was this one book, and it had just been translated from Thai into English. And it was like a beautiful book. I think I've maybe still got it in my dad's house. Beautiful. It was all black and white pictures of famous Thai fighters fighting in Lumpini Stadium in Bangkok, things like. And I'm looking through, and I'm going, that's Dome. And it was like every second or third page, he was on it.
That's mad.
So I've took the book, and obviously they don't read or anything. They're a lot of them are illiterate. And I showed him the book. I says, "This is you." He says, "It's me." I says, "You were good." He says, "Yes, Thai champion, 13 years undefeated." I said, "Yeah." So that was Doom. Yeah.
That's mad. That's mad. And he just turned to alcohol.
He's just an alcohol. Yeah.
And when you left Thailand, was he still around when you left?
Yeah, but he was. They also, so they was doing that. He was a taxi driver, believe it or not. It was a motorbike taxi. Seriously,
whiskey in the morning.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Personal training. But you get on a taxi with him, because I know what they've been doing. But yeah, he worked as
I ain't getting that taxi.
a motorbike taxi. You know, if you've not been, if you've been in Thailand, you got in the back of a motorbike taxi. It's quite common. You've got a little guy with a scooter, and you just jump on the back and you pay him 20 baht.
On the back of the scooter?
Back of a scooter.
There's no way, man. I love bikes, but I will never get on the back with someone on a bike. I just don't.
That's very common in Thailand. Just motorbike taxi.
I'm walking, bro.
So anyway, you get Doom. He had like an extra job that was driving motorbike.
You know what? I think I want to know where Dum is in the world today, and the 7-year-old boy, and I think we should get a reunion. This is your life. Look who's turned up today.
Steve going back. Go, how are you, Dum?
Yeah, Steve would jump up and get my own back on the 7-year-old.
Well, no, if you go to Thailand, you have to get on a motorbike taxi.
I don't think I do it.
Well, they have families of four and everything.
Oh yeah, you'll never believe.
What motorbikes are we talking? Like 100cc?
Like 190s.
190s.
Yeah,
My dad used to have one of them.
You've got a man driving the scooter and his wife and 2 kids on the back and the baby in the basket, like
and
a
the
newborn
dog
baby, and they're carrying an island board and things. It's meant, and you'll see a whole family on a little scooter like that, and everybody that lives in Thailand for length, you've got it's called a Thai tag, and it's a burn mark across your leg. And it's where at some point your little scooter has fell against your leg and taken the skin right off the Thai tag.
Yeah, no, there's no way I'm getting on a scooter. Like, I want to go to Thailand. I ain't been, and a few people are telling me it's great, and I'd like to go for sure. And I'd like to go and train one of the gyms, but I don't want to fight that 7-year-old, because now he's probably. How long ago was that?
It's probably. I think his name was Rod Tang. Yeah.
Rod Tang, right? He's probably now? How many years ago was that?
God, that was 25 years ago, something
so
like
he's
going to be
32.
He's going to be 32. So could be
well on
and
now.
a killer, that fella, I've come over to
retired now. But the time most of them, by the time they're 26, they're retired by their body
takes so much abuse, like
they're absolutely most of them are finished.
Wow, that's mental, like.
Well,
so
it's a great country.
So what happened that you left Thailand in the end? What did you do, Steve?
Yeah, it's a fantastic place, but it's the most corrupt country on earth. It really is. And we were trying to do everything legal. We thought we were legal. We were legal. You have work permits, we had visas, we'd done everything I was supposed to do. But we were so I had a job. We worked a couple of hours a day, and it was like a sales office basically. And even though you're legal, you've still got to pay. You've got to pay the police, you've got to pay the mafia, and every single week somebody will come in to collect money. And obviously, the better your business is doing, the more money they want. So, and it just, I was working for these Serbian guys, and they were so the same thing. They paid, everybody pays. And then after a wee while, I thought it just seemed to be getting more and more. And as they were coming in, they were getting more aggressive. The police were getting more aggressive, wanting more money. And I thought this is going to end up. This is going to go bad here, you know what I mean? I thought, I'm going to get out of it. We'd already, when I first arrived, 4 days after I started the new job, we got banged up by immigration. They came in, immigration came in, and I just literally started at this company, and I was all legal, and the immigration police came in, and the Thais are tiny. They're all small, but they're scary, you know what I mean? They're very friendly people, but the officials are very, very scary. They've got the military uniforms on, they've got jack boots on, and they come in and they're all, they're all very friendly, but they're waiting and they want to be paid. And the first place I was working was this big hotel, and the owner refused to pay them. And because he wouldn't, so they sat there for a couple of hours, all very friendly, all very nice. And then eventually, because they realised there was no money coming, they stood up and they went, okay, you, arrested. And they cuffed us, put us in the back of the police van, took us away, put us in the cells. And because we were Farangs, there was 6 of us, we had our own cell because we were foreigners. And right next to us in this little cell, there was 30 Burmese immigrants like that, and it's just, and they had to sleep, and they sleep in rotation, they sleep in shifts. So the other ones are standing up while some are sleeping, and it's blistering hot, there's mosquitoes, and it's, and it was all came down to money.
How long were you in there?
No, it was only 2 days. We were in hell for 2 days, and it was only they wanted money. That was all it was. But they do a big parade. They took us into like a big conference room after they held us. Took us into this room. They sit around this beautiful big oak table, and the governor comes in. The governor's a full white naval uniform, and how it works with all the men sit on the right hand side. The governor comes in. Men sit on the right, and the women sit on the left. Men sit on the left, women sit on the right. So there's 4 guys over here, and there was two women over this side. And they're talking, all the press come in. It was unbelievable.
The press and all?
Press. There was like 20 photographers and the video camera. They've got the cameras right in your face. They're snapping all these pictures. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And so he's talking in Thai. He's going, but really, I'm thinking, and he's pointing at us, and I'm thinking, this is really bad. We're in trouble here, you know what I mean?
Banged up
but that kind of thing. I'm thinking, we are banging trouble. And basically, and then basically the charges they put against, and he says, right, you sign a bit of, they slide you over a bit of paper with the official Thai, the king's badge basically, and it's all written in Thai, and he says, you sign the paper, and when people say to you, you can't read this if you don't sign it. No, in Thailand, if they tell you to sign the paper, you sign the paper.
Yeah.
So yeah, you look at it, and I'm saying, I don't understand. You sign the paper. so you sign it, and it turned out later what we had signed was that we were kidnapping, extortion.
Whoa.
The charges were unbelievable. They were mental. And anyway, all it came down to in the end. So the owner of the hotel would not pay for us. He was Thai Chinese. He wouldn't pay. But the Serbian guy that I worked in, he basically walked into the chief of police and said, right, how much is it going to cost to get all of them in? It was about like $1 million baht a head, which at that time was, I don't know, say $4,000, something like that. I can't remember exactly.
$4,000 for freedom,
$4,000 a head, and he basically went away and he come back with a bag of cash, paid the chief of police, and he went, thank you very much, thank you very much, and away you all go. And that was it.
That's crazy. Like, there's I don't know if you've ever seen the movie A Prayer Before Dawn.
Yes.
The guy.
No. I was thinking, I've not watched that. The fighter in Thailand.
Yeah, and he got. Yeah, so we actually, before this podcast, had a podcast called Let's Go Crack, and we had the guy that wrote that book on the podcast and talking about that, and he spent a lot of years in prison. And what had happened, he used to fight Muay Thai in the bars,
Right.
but he used to get way more money than any of the Thai people, because he could talk to people and get them going and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the guys got jealous of him one stage, and it's in the movie, but they did, and I might, I'm paraphrasing, I might not got the story 100% correct, but he was involved in doing a bit of drugs at the time. He's clean now, Billy, and this guy ratted him out, and the police came and arrested him, put him in prison, and he was in prison for a long time. But his like, if you watch the movie, the first few nights he said were horrific. He didn't have his own cell. He was in with all the Thai people, and they were like lying on the floor, and just like, it was just bodies everywhere. Like someone's leg would be on your head, someone's arm, and it'd be just sweltering hot. And the first night he was taken off, and he was at knife point, and he was forced to witness something quite horrific, like. But it's in the movie if you ever get a chance to prepare before dawn. It's a dark movie, but he said it was that hot, and so eventually he started fighting Muay Thai in there, and he's very good at Muay Thai, and they kind of, it helped him find it easier in prison, like. And then he went back to the UK, and he was sent back to the UK, but straight to prison in the UK. And he said he couldn't sleep on the bed. He was so used to sleeping on the floor. And it wasn't that cold in the prison, but because he was so used to such heat in the prison, he was freezing. And he used to sleep on the floor and hug the pipes near the radiator just to keep warm, like. And I think the way he talked about it, you could get the impression that forever changed his headspace, like, you know what I mean?
It's the weird thing. It's a land of contradiction. It's such a, to me, I'll always, even though we're not, I still love Thailand. I'm going to take my kids as soon as they're older. I'm going to take them over there, but it's also, there's a bit of a dark side to it. You've got to be careful, because you fall in with the wrong person, you'll end up.
You'll know about it, like.
Definitely, yeah.
And so then you left Thailand. You came to Tenerife.
No, I went from there. I went to Singapore for a wee while.
Oh, right.
I was in Singapore, Malaysia for a little while. And then came back. I went in Malaysia. Well, Malaysia, because I was never really keen on Malaysia anyway. They're selling it now as the pearl of the Orient. But our first experience, we had to do visa runs. Obviously, when you're there, every 90 days you've got to do visa runs. So something you could go to Myanmar, you could go to Singapore, you could go to different places. And the easiest one was to go to Malaysia. So you'd fly into Kuala Lumpur's lovely. It's quite a nice city. But then you've got like sort of Penang, the island of Penang. It's probably different now. I'm going back a long time ago, but it was filthy. It was absolutely nice. So there's a place called Georgetown is the capital of the island, and so we're getting two white guys, and it's me and this Geordie Phil, and we're over there for our visa run. We're staying in this like a hostel, real dodgy place. We'll come out and just walking around. The only other white people you see, and they were every staying there. I thought, this is a bit. And there's gullies running down the street with human shit in them, and they're sort of 4 or 5 foot deep, and it's 48 degrees or something.
Wow.
And it's just anyway. We're there, and I thought, I can't have this, is too much. We'll go to Batu Ferringhi, which is supposed to be it's a beautiful beach resort, paradise, beautiful white beaches. So you get on the bus, you go down to Batu Ferringhi, and it's got massive big, which look initially quite nice, these big golden sand beaches. And again, it's blistering hot. It's so hot. I mean, Thailand's hot, but Malaysia is I would say, it's probably even hotter. And humidity. So anyway, I said, right, I need to go in the water. And I'm thinking, for a beach this size, why is there hardly anybody in the water? And you walk, and there's like a foam at the side there, and based on what it is, which you found out later, is they're pumping the sewage straight into the beach.
Wow.
So what it causes is all this, and you get these massive jellyfish that come and feed off it. So there's jellyfish as you walk in. You still have to go in because it's so hot. So even though you think it's not clean, but you're melting. You put your foot in, I thought, I'm stood on a jellyfish. And I moved my foot up and at least a metre away, and I was still on the same jellyfish.
Wow.
These are like super, and they come in and they basically...
They sting like they...
No, you're all right. You stand on the top of them. You're all right, but... it's just the whole thing.
Just standing here on a jellyfish?
It's quite weird when people come at night time, or they come as the sun's setting to go in and... don't swim, they go and just all go and have a group chat. But they're all fully dressed. So the men have got a full suit on, the women are fully dressed in saris and things like that. And they go out into the water and they'll stand like that and just stand and talk for like an hour. And it's quite...
If anyone's actually tuned in for holiday recommendations, we've wrote off Thailand, Israel.
That was an experience, yeah. So,
wow.
Then came back to you.
And you've been running the boot camps for how long now?
I was quite surprised when Craig said.
Yeah, it's over. I've been 12 years, and you were a year before. It's 13 years, over 13 years. I think you've got 13 years.
14 years.
You know, and like if for anyone like, so one of the things that I'd always preach, and well, I'm going to ask you first. Obviously, starting a business in Tenerife is a hard thing. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of stuff like that. And for anyone who's starting a business, like, to be successful, like I always say, like I've heard that to get past the first year in Tenerife is the key in business. And if you get past the first year and you just keep consistency, you'll be successful. The one thing that I've always seen with your business, and the reason why I believe it's successful and it works well, is there's no like if buts and maybes. You're consistently there. You're consistently. If you're not there, then Craig or someone else is in your place. If you're sick or whatever, you never you know, there's that consistency, and people. It's a solid thing. Like I go walking out in the morning, and by the time I finish a walk, you're down there training people, like, and people know that it's that reliability of a business, like.
It's true, yeah, and it surprises me how how people choose to run their business. But yeah, to me, you've got to be there. Even I've done classes so many times. One person turns up, you still do the class.
Yeah.
Even if you get that, you might get that for a week. You might get that for a couple of weeks. One person, you don't say, okay, well, I'm just not going to. Oh, it's only you on your own. Okay, I'll just cancel the class. Never. Because that is, as you say, if people know, right, it's always on. It's, I think, credibility as well.
You wouldn't take 1,000 bat and run off.
No. I'm away partying for a week. Yeah.
And when did you guys meet? So, when did you first cross eyes?
A little bit before that, actually. Because my ex-wife had a gym. She taught, and she still does teaches pole fitness. Steffi, my mother of my son Valentino. I'm just going to plug him in case he's watching.
Valentino, you're plugged.
I was about to say no, he better be at school, but he's finished. He's all right. But, yeah, and Steffi had the gym, and I remember you were using a room area or part of that for training people. So yeah, I just met Steve doing Krav Maga classes. Yeah. So from not knowing him to this guy's got guns and knives and people. What's going on here? And I actually remember I joined in one because I'd go in the gym and do a bit of bag work, and I'd do my own fitness stuff, and I was doing a bit of bag work. And Steve said, "Oh, join in if you want," and we were doing like disarming the guns and knives. Yeah. And I don't know if Steve thought, oh, well, you obviously do a bit yourself, because then it's like the under pressure scenario. We're in a circle, and I'd only done this one class, I think.
Oh, yeah, that.
Like, disarm the knife, the gun, now get down and do press-ups. And all I remember from it is Steve kicking me in the stomach while I'm doing press-ups. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, this guy's lovely, isn't he? It's like, so that was, but no, it was brilliant.
Those stress tests, I remember you doing that with instructors. They asked me to come in and... I felt so bad hitting your man in the face. Who was doing it? Was Marco, was it?
You said that while smiling.
I can't remember. Who was it?
Big Marco.
Yeah, we do it for quite often in the black belts. We get guys who can fight. You're always looking for a group to come when they're sitting at that black belt. It's got to be so intense. You get fighters to come in and purposely, even when they're knackered, come in.
I kept whipping his head back. I was punching him, and I was just like, at one point, I was thinking, "This is too easy.
This just feels wrong.
It was wrong. Just hitting him in the head, like, and it was just so easy because he was just struggling to keep his hands up. He was absolutely battered, like. But yeah, those stress tests are like I've done a bit of training with you here and there, and I remember because you never really do 2-on-1 in any other sport. So like I remember, I'll never forget this. I don't know if I can't remember their names. We won't mention them, but there were two police officers, and they were 2-on-1 on me. I had so much fun. I was like, I'm hitting a police officer. I said, and
don't mention the names.
No. But I'll never forget. Actually, I remember I was training MMA in and we were this big lad Pablo, and he was. Like strong, two of us rolling on the ground, round after round, and I was, when you've got someone you're talking and you're running, you're just grinding their face, and I just remember, and we're real friendly afterwards. I says, what do you do, bro? And he was like, oh, Policia Nacional, and I was like, all the flashbacks of all the, but he was really sound. Like, it's funny because the thing is, when you do train in like fight gyms, you generally meet two walks of life.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. And sometimes I think that actually we're all they're all
very
similar. They're just gone a different direction, if that makes sense.
You can be the same person on either side of the path. Yeah,
I've heard that mentioned on many different things. Like it's like that. It's that mentality. It's like you're either one way or the other, but like you've got that same kind of fight mentality. Like
I mean, same. I did used to laugh sometimes because you'd have doing a Krav Maga class in the gym, and we do have a lot of police, different locals, national, Guardia. And then you'd have other guys that you knew.
we're up to something else.
And they're all training in the same class, and you just say, but they're fighting each other, but they love it. For that time, when they're doing their class, nobody cares.
A massive respect.
There's respect. I don't care what you do. You don't care what I do. And then we fight, we leather each other, shake hands at the end, see you later.
Walk out in the other direction.
Catch you later.
See you on the outside. That's mad. I was going to say to you, obviously you've been here a lot longer than me. I'm kind of to go on another side of it is like what. I assume you both partied here in Tenerife back in the day, and what was that like? And what's changed? Like,
been out. Changed. We got older. Yeah, that's the big change. If I'm honest.
No, but what I guess you wouldn't go and see the scene now. But what was like Veronica's back like then? I mean, you were a rep, so you were obviously in the middle of all the madness. Like,
it was fantastic.
If only I could go back.
I'll tell you my first ever experience of Veronica's though, because so many people, and that was actually on holiday. The reason I came here is because I came on holiday with my best mates. I had a 2-week holiday, which was basically spent in Veronica's. But we went horse riding once as well in the afternoon. But the rest of it was in Veronica's. And we had the best time, but I remember we arrived, we'd been, the year before, we ended up in the middle of nowhere, near Alicante, near Torrevieja, completely wrong holiday, middle of nowhere for lads, was rubbish. Got here and went, everything's here. And everyone was saying around the pool that day, Veronica's where you go. So we're like, right, we're up for that. So obviously we went out at the same time that everyone should go out over here, 4:30. Let's get out. We're a little bit early. Let's have some food. By 6:37, I think we're down Veronica's. These PRs were there. Now, most people would come back and say, PRs get annoying. And when you've lived here for a long time, we loved them. The PR, do you want to come in our bar? You get free shots, right? And I swear to you, there's 4 of us. My mate Steve, Dave, Shane, myself. By 8:30, we could not see. It was just like, but we had the best time. And we were just in there and we loved the PRs, the DJs. We were up on stage dancing. We thought everyone loved us, giving it the large. We had the shirts open right down to here. You know, it was just it was brilliant. I know. There's photos to prove it.
I don't even know what to say to that. The shirt's down to here.
Simon Cowell jeans pulled it around here.
All 4 of you with the same white shirts.
Oh, absolutely, mate. And you know what? It was brilliant, and we loved it. But back then, it was a sea of people.
Yeah.
The whole Veronica's was a sea of people. But I remember zero trouble during my holiday. Yeah, that's true. There was no trouble. Everything was good. Everyone was drunk and daft, and you know, it was just brilliant. But I then came back, obviously, and the reason I came back, I went home, and I remember I worked in a motorbike shop, and my boss said to me, "Back to reality, is it?" And it changed in me. 5 weeks later, I was on a plane coming back over. I ended up getting a job, luckily, in resort with air tours back in the day when they were huge. And I became a holiday rep. I didn't know even what a holiday rep did. It's like you're a holiday rep. And basically we organised, obviously, excursions and picking them up from the airport, all the things that go with it. But one thing we did was the bar crawl. So we organised the bar crawls. And I remember my very first bar crawl. We went out and the managers were there and we were a team and we had these hundreds of people were out. And I remember, and one thing I do remember is getting dragged by my shirt collar off the middle of a dance floor by my manager because I was snogging this girl. And apparently you're not supposed to do that in uniform when you're out on the bar with your guests. Well,
so there is rules then on the bar crawl, yeah?
I learned that night, actually. So it was like, and we used to take people out there all the time. And it was great. It was great fun. Yeah, we saw some bits of trouble down there, but you know what? If you get the right people in the right environment and they're just there to have a great time, but it was just so busy. It was a constant.
I think it's dropped off now. Like, is it?
Yeah, it's not how it definitely changed.
No,
definitely.
What do you think the reason?
It is a lot more areas now as well.
Okay.
At that time, there was no safari centre. There was no, all that. There was no deal. So everybody was more focused. You went out in Las Medics. You went in Veronica's. That's what there was there.
Why is it called Veronica's?
It's named actually after in fact, I had this conversation. I was in Marbella this week and I was chatting. And for the guy, his name was Jean Jean-Michel, I think, the Jungle Park. If you remember the Jungle Park, which is
still there.
It used to be called the Eagle Park.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah. So I was going to say, if you remember it, called the Eagle Park, and he built Veronica's, but people say it was named after his daughter, but it wasn't. It was his wife at the time. It was named after. I found that actual information this week, and that's the actual thing. And I knew the guy. He used to have a guy.
I wonder if she regret.
Yeah, he used to have a guy called Alan who was his protector, like bodyguard, and I got on well with Alan because we used to work business with him. But he was the one who built Veronica's, and he built it and named it after his wife. And yeah, it was just. I have such good memories of the place, but fond memories because I've been in the holiday industry. I worked my way up from rep to supervisor, and my job was to create and make sure we had all these numbers on bar call. A lot of the old reps still live here and gone on to do
Can't
business.
do them now though, can you? Bar calls are illegal, I think.
Yeah, I believe they stopped them. But back in the day, I think we still held the record. We had on a Sunday night and a Wednesday night, 2 nights in the week, we had 850 on the Sunday, 500 on the Wednesday.
What, on a bar crawl?
On a bar crawl, 1,350. And there's bar owners here.
How do you, that's like that.
Oh, it was. We had to split it up.
How do you move
You must have been
it?
gold dust going through bar owners. Yeah, come here.
We
Like.
had 4 bars, 4 bar crawls. We had to split it up.
Right.
It was 850. That was 1,350 in 1 week we did, and 850 on the Sunday. 4 bar crawls. My reps. You're supposed to have 5, 6, 7 reps on 1 bar crawl. We had like 3 on this, 3 on that. Other supervisors come out that night and help. And we took these people between 5 bars over the night, and it was just incredible. You know, it was just amazing. I mean, the upside of all that for me is I never paid for a drink down there. Any family members, mates on holiday, never paid for a drink. You know, it was just great. I just loved the place. It was just...
The bar owners obviously loved, like, they were just begging to work, like, for you to work with them, I guess.
And I became very good friends with many of them, you know, and we had a mutual respect for each other, you know, and they were really good. You know, it was just.
What was the club back then? The club that everyone went to?
Tramps, mainly.
Bobby. Ooh la la! It's
Tramps,
fucking Bobby's bar, isn't it?
Rags was actually classed as a club back then as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, but yeah.
Is Rags not a club now? No.
Rags, I
Yeah,
suppose
but not
it's-
in the days. They were the main ones that was,
Yeah.
and they were good. They were brilliant. The atmosphere was brilliant. As I say, there was there was always fights, but not how now. I mean, now I would not walk through there.
The problem is that I think the fights now involve weapons.
Exactly. That's,
You know what I
it's
mean?
not 1-on-1. It's a gang. You know, it's
And it's just other things being brought into it.
Yeah.
Like for me, like if I was out and I can handle myself, the first thing I'd be looking is getting out of there.
100%.
First thing I'm thinking is like, how can I talk myself
get
out
out
of this situation and leave? Like, because
exactly.
the last thing I need is some knife sticking into me. Well, I wouldn't go to Veronica's now, to be honest with you.
I've not been down there in years, and I wouldn't. You can pay me to go.
I did a bit, say, when I moved here first, when I got single, I went partying a few times at Veronica's, like, but I just felt...
I
think
think
people-
your kind of scene.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day it would have been like, it would have been, but now it's like, I was like, you know, you get that, come inside, I'll give you 20 shots, a bowl of frog drink, and you'll be,
Frog spawn.
you know, there's like fat frog, what were they called? Fat frogs, or what do they call these screenings? You drink that, you'll get sick, you'll be all right. I mean, I'm like going in there, and then it was my first experience when I went in there. It was the first experience to go into the bathroom, and there's a guy there with deodorant and stuff. I'd never experienced that back in Ireland. I was like, he's there, do you want to spray this? I was like, this is weird. It was the first time I ever experienced that in a club, like, because back in Ireland, obviously, like because when I was partying, when I was doing drugs and I was mad, I was in the west of Ireland, and you know, I never left. Like, I never had a foreign holiday, like, outside of the country until I was 21. And I went to
I'm glad you confirmed that foreign holidays are outside the country.
No problem at all. But 21, I went to Fuerteventura with my girlfriend at the time, and it was like, and I stopped drinking at that stage and drugging, so I never experienced what the party scene. I never went to Ibiza. I never went to those, because when I was taking drugs, I never had any money. It was just like, oh man, it was like, I could go on a holiday or do something, or I could pay my rent even. I think I'll spend it all on drugs. So I never got away. Like, and I kind of, you know, I would have liked to experience that party scene in the day, especially the whole, you know, when I was into like ecstasy and that the whole scene. I would have liked to have actually experienced the big scene back then.
It was, but I mean, when we grew up in Scotland, we done the rave scene was exploding at
Yeah.
that time, as we were, I mean, 15, 16, and you start, I think I took my first E when I was 15, and we used to go, first one was called The Bunker,
Yeah.
and it was a nuclear bunker, so we pulled up, I mean, I was 15-year-old, there was other people were taking us there, and all the cars pulled up from our area were all going to the same place.
The bunker, I love it.
Called The Bunker. It looked like it was like a one-story factory building. That's what it looked like. I'm thinking, this is weird. I was expecting this big tent, and the cars stop. We all go out. We walk into the building, and it's really weird. And it's so bright inside. I'm thinking, what? It's like we're inside a Mercadona. That's like
I like the fact you all drove there.
No, we used to, in that time it was different. And
Yeah.
So we've got in, and you got in, there was like when you see a coal mine lift, a big industrial lift like that with the meshing on it. And the guys all had tuxedos, the guys that were working there, and he's opened the door like that, and everybody got in the lift, and the lift would hold, I don't know, 30, 40 people. It was massive. And it went 17 stories underground down this lift. And I'm thinking, you can feel the pressure. And as we got down, this guy opened the lift at the bottom, the same thing, tuxedo, and he had big dreads and that, and it's like, and it's opened, and it was a solid steel door like that, and there was not a sound.
Sounds like you're going into a bunker, not a rave.
It's a nuclear bunker.
Oh yeah, that's why it's called.
It's called a nuclear.
I didn't realise. I thought it was just a name for a club.
It's a real nuclear bunker.
That's mental.
And so this massive big steel door like that, and the boy, and there's nothing. You can't hear one single sound. And the boy goes, and he turns it, and he pulls it, and the door is that thick. It's a blast door, and he pulls it open like that. And as he opens the door, it's like boom, the explosion of the music. And
Class.
It was unbelievable. And you walked in, and the ceiling was only that high. You could touch the ceiling, and it was all black inside. And the sweat was dripping off the ceiling.
That's insane. That's like you know that scene in Blade.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like.
And what sort of capacity was in that?
I've got no idea. I mean, there was 1,000 people anyway. Yeah,
wow.
At least, yeah. And that was the first time I ever took an E. And it was groups, and it was brilliant. It went on till 6, 7 in the morning, and same thing, come out, and everyone just got straight in the cars and drove home. And then you then went to another party. You drove nearer where you live, and you went to another party.
Yeah, you're literally looking for another party until all of a sudden you're like, I can't take any more. Like
the same thing over here when Veronica's at that time. When I first was, I was 18, 19.
Was a rave scene in Veronica's back then?
Not quite. It was a similar idea. It wasn't. The raves were massive, and the raves were like all weekends, all the top DJs. But this was, they would have some good name DJs over here. But you went into the clubs, and same thing. It was all, everybody was E's everywhere. That's why there wasn't so much fighting, because it was.
Yeah, I think it was a different
atmosphere. Yeah, everybody was happier, and it was. But same thing. We've been sat in. Certain thing, you go in everywhere, like you said, we used to go into different places, and because of who we worked for, you could go into different, and you didn't pay for anything. They'll just give you drinks. Not you didn't drink that much, to be fair, at that time. It was give me a bottle of water.
That'll be €100.
And you just go from the, and same thing. You're in the clubs, and there was all sorts. There was police were all there, but they were same thing. They were involved in it all. And it was
different times now. Things have changed.
Me and my mate came out 6 in the morning, came out of Veronica's one day, again, I don't know, 18, 19, came out, got in the car, 6 in the morning, went to drive away, there was a police roadblock right there, the police has come out, have a look inside, and they went, and they've opened, I was thinking I was alright, I'm sitting there like that, and they've went round to my mate's side, they've opened his door, and he just fell right out, boom, hit the street like that, and he told me, they're lying on the street like that, and they've went, and he says, are you okay? And he says, listen, he said, look at the state of you. And I thought, we're in trouble here. And obviously pockets of all sorts of things. And he went like that. He says, go over there, have a drink of coffee, 15 minutes, then you can drive the car. I said, oh, nice one. Next to the car, then go get a wee coffee.
Couple of espressos.
They're different,
yeah. Different times. Like same in the west of Ireland. Like I think back then when I was growing up, like drink driving and all that stuff wasn't a thing. Now it's zero tolerance, which I think is a good thing, obviously. You know what I mean? When you think about it, I don't know how many now people, but like even that scene back in the day, like it was like very, very different. Here it was probably more easy going, but like where I was from, like it was like doing drugs was like if you'd smoked weed back then, it would have been like doing heroin. You know what I mean? Nice. Where I was from, because it was such a rural area, like it's changed now.
When I grew up in Scotland, in their days, we grew up, and it was so common. I mean everybody was and there was the rave scene. I grew up in the rave scene for 4 or 5 years when you're that age, and it was brilliant. We went to every single rave all over the country, and everybody knew each other. There was no problems, there was no fighting, the atmosphere was brilliant. And originally, even the police, the police didn't, because there was no problems and everybody was careful. They weren't so extreme. They sort of just let it go like that. But I think when it all changed was when Leah Betts died. The girl that died from the E.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was, I don't God, that was years ago. And that was, I think, the first time that ecstasy, for example, had ever been in the mainstream media. And then that was it. Then it started to it changed all then. But yeah, it was quite common. And over here, it was just second.
Not like the reality is like. Very little people died from ecstasy.
Oh yeah, no, very little,
less than died from alcohol.
100%.
But like this, just to clarify, anyone listening, I wouldn't recommend going out tonight and trying ecstasy. You know,
listen, the world's it's a very different place now.
Yeah,
it's the years in the day, everything was. I just think now
it was the start of a scene, but like for me,
I'd be terrified now.
I wouldn't touch it. Number one, because obviously I'm an addict in recovery. Like, and you know, I think that I'm glad I experienced that part of my life because it's something that's
it makes you who you are.
Yeah,
I think
100%. Like, and it's just I enjoyed the start, and then it's just and the thing with any of those, particularly drugs, like and in my hands, like the more I take, the less effective it became, and then the more I wanted, and it was just like I was just melting my brain, like and then I just realised I had to stop.
I feel so innocent sat next to you. I've never done drugs.
All he did is snog a girl in front of his manager.
And that was it. I didn't actually do. Yeah, I think it's because I worked for a company taking people out. We had to keep everyone away.
Yeah,
from
you
that
couldn't be at that.
Like, and maybe but yeah, I didn't go into the drug scene. But I think I missed the rave scene through age slightly. Because everyone's starting to go to these bring your own raves.
That's for sure. I've listened to your motivational music in the gym. Like,
I've never heard you want to go on a decent rave.
I'll openly admit it.
So I've trained with both you guys, right? I go and train with Steve, and it's like hip hop, and I feel motivated. I go in here, I got I am a tiger.
That's my ringtone.
I'm like. I'm just not getting this. It's not getting me going.
Yeah. Just put the headband on and you'll be well away.
Right, guys, get the pom-poms out. Let's go.
I admit from being slightly different era from that kind of thing, but yeah. Absolutely.
But, well, what age? So you're 56.
I'm 56 this year, yeah.
What age are you now, Steve?
48.
Yeah. I'm the young gun here, 45. 46 this year, like
I think it can make it. I remember working with a lad who was.
So you would have missed the rave scene for sure.
He was about 5 years younger than me, and he was going to the bring your own raves and all that. I was at Charisma in Doncaster Night, where you've got your shirt and tie on, and you're still, dancing to Rick Astley, and that was it. And we were loving all that.
Never gonna give you up.
Let you down. It's like, who can dance to the? And we did all that, and it was.
Well, I'm like.
It is, and it's weird how small changes in time can bring about those changes and differences and stuff. And it's massive.
I'm trying to think what would have been. I suppose there would have been a very different music scene, a very different pint of beer and stuff like that. Would have been any drugs involved in that scene?
I think in the early days, no, I never heard of it. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because the guys around me were into that. And it would, and I know it happened over here, and there was, in the bars and stuff, it was going on. And actually, I remember one bar owner saying to me, "Hey, Craig, you want some
it's
cocaine?"
quite surprising, to be honest, that you worked in amongst all that and never got drawn into me. To be fair,
never did.
I know it was common. Everybody who was down there was.
Maybe I was. A bit
I can imagine now it's mad.
I didn't realise how many people were into it at the time. And I remember this one bar owner saying to me, "Hey, do you want some?" And I went, "No." He says, "Yeah, you do." I said, "No, I don't do it." He says, "Of course you do." And he perceived that I did because I was down there a lot. But I was a lot of the time I was sober because I was down there like work. We had to collect the money from the bar calls off the bars. So it was that thing. But maybe I was a bit naive to it. I don't know. But I was
trying to keep you off the drink so you won't be snoggle once.
There was a different side of things back then.
You'd become a supervisor at that stage. You were dragging young lads off other women.
Get off that one. I better not go down that road.
Just to clarify, we're all settled down now. We're all very sensible. We don't do anything wild now. It's what would be my idea of a wild night? Staying awake past 10 o'clock.
It really is, isn't it?
So that's the crack, lads. It's been an hour and a half. I know you have busy lives. I appreciate you both coming in and spending the time and enjoying the podcast, and hopefully see you again. if anyone's coming to Tenerife and they want to do the boot camp, how do they get in contact with you?
It's any social media, Steve Costa Fitness.
Yeah.
Facebook, Insta, YouTube channel, anything like that. So, yeah.
And if you're watching this and you jump over, push a like on his Facebook, put a subscribe. I'll actually drop the link in the description below and check it out. And if you want to follow Craig, you set up a TikTok recently, didn't you? You said a TikTok. Oh, do you?
Yeah, I kept it kind of quiet for now.
Hey, big news! Big news,
yeah,
Craig.
Sat in your company, Daniel, and been famous on YouTube and everything.
Definitely not famous,
you know
me,
what?
man.
It's called Craig's Cave, and it's because I'm into the cars and motorbikes. As you know, I have a big.
It's not like the bunker, is it?
It's not quite as deep. But yeah, you know, I've got a few cars and motorbikes. I like all that. And my mate said to me, listen, you should video everything. So I started. It's called Craig's Cave.
I think I said that to you ages ago. I said you should start videoing what you're doing. Like.
And I just did. But you know what? You know yourself, it's the hard bits, the filming, the editing, doing all that. But I'm actually getting my son involved to do all the editing.
Oh,
so
deadly.
Valentino's doing that. It's not the best, but it's all right. And I'm actually getting some followers. And
Valentino, I'm sure it's good.
20, 25 videos so far. Doing up
brilliant.
Harleys, doing the Subaru,
check it out.
the Jags. So yeah,
Just to keep that top secret.
I
have to drop that in.
I know
Hi,
the idea
it's Craig.
The idea is not to keep it secret.
Yeah.
But you know what?
What's it called? Craig's
Cave.
Craig's Cave. That's
my
cool,
man
man.
cave, if you like. And yeah, so I do that, and it's a bit of fun. But hopefully, I'll get to see people who come in.
So you probably watch Matt Armstrong.
Yeah, I know. I watch Matt Armstrong, and he's a bit of a level above me with his Lamborghinis. But I'm doing all right. I've got different cars. We're having a lot of fun.
And you're doing so. If anyone watches
even the hoverboard that I repaired for Steve, I've got.
Do you put it on video? Oh, that's cool.
Video the hoverboard and Harleys, doing up Jag, did the Subaru. We did serious stuff like the timing belts, but also some fun stuff as well. Even the big scale electric set, that's all on there and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, Craig has a scale electric set.
They come round all the time.
I used to love scale electrics as a young lad. Well, look, if you are, check out Craig's channel, check out Steve's boot camp. Thanks very much, lads.
Thanks.
Nice one. Keep cracking it and
thanks, mate.
And try and behave yourselves. Yeah.
We'll
nice one, guys. Thank you. Take it easy.
All the best. Thanks, guys.